بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Okay, so this is the meeting for the glow up from trauma to triumph, the glow up and the art of the glow up. And this is going to be a recorded conversation. Inshallah, we have Dr. Shaakira with us, and Soumaya will also be joining. And I'll talk more about just the reason and the means that this conversation came about. But before that, Dr. Shaakira, could you please grace us with an introduction on yourself and your work?
Thank you for that. So I am Dr. Shaakira Abdullah. I'm also known as the Halal Sexpert. So I am a sexuality educator dedicated to providing the Muslim Ummah with this sexual knowledge from an Islamic perspective. So I provide this education for parents, singles, married people, and youth. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Definitely had to do it. And I just wanted to provide some context for this conversation and what I do. You'll see my name here is Soulmate Sis, but my actual name is Miriam Shakir Miller. And so, basically, when I go on platforms like YouTube and sometimes Instagram, I'm talking about soulmates and Islam and prophetic tradition. And that's pretty much the stuff that gets people interested. And once they're hooked on the soulmate stuff, then it's somewhat dawah, like I'm somewhat teaching about Islam and spirituality and all of that. But what I realized halfway through the channel, and to be frank, my own marriage, is that my messaging was feeding into some of the mainstream narratives that really are kind of toxic as far as, two extremes. One is that you need a man or you need a relationship in order to be leveled up or to be, your best self. And then the other extreme is that you don't need a relationship. You don't need anybody, and that you're just this powerhouse, this working woman who doesn't really need anything. And they're both extreme, and we know that as Muslims we are about the middle path. Our Prophet ﷺ taught khairul umur awsat. So the sister I'll have on the call today, she is a very brave and inspiring person. She is actually known as she's a divorce coach for Muslim sisters. And so it's almost it almost kind of complements the work that you do, because you're about people being happy in their marriages, and she's about them being happy without that. And so I think it's really important for people, not just on my channel, but throughout, for people in our ummah to understand, when we talk about the level up and the glow up, that it's a journey, and that regardless of where you're at in that journey, that you can be happy and you can be your best and live your best life. And so since you're here, and mashallah, I wish she was here to hear that as well, but I'll catch her up, inshallah. Could you just talk about maybe how you're different from 10 years ago? Anything that you may have had to perhaps replace, and just that contrast between you now and then?
Yeah, I mean, I was reflecting on the question, and I was like, wow, 20 years, was it 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago, I was a totally different person. You would not recognize me. I was in a totally different mind frame and had different goals. I was a person who did not see their worth. I did not see my value as a Muslim. It was kind of like I made my mind up, like, I'm just going to be Muslim by name. I'm not going to cover. I'm not going to pray. I'm not going to, do anything that I'm really supposed to do. But I'm still going to call myself a Muslim, but I'm not going to practice. So it was I didn't see what path, the path I was going down. It was kind of just like, just trying to fit in, trying to be cool and trying to be accepted by everyone and my college people. And yeah, it was nothing about, really seeing my worth and my value as a Muslim woman.
And so what prompted your glow up, as they say, or your growth, really?
For me, it was actually one day I remember, because I have a long story, but but one day when I was born and raised Muslim, and my parents really made sure Islam was a huge part of my foundation. But when I got into high school, I really valued, everyone was talking about having a boyfriend. It was all over the music, the TV shows. All my friends had one. It was like, I want that companionship. So fast forward 2 months after my high school graduation, I had found this boyfriend and I had got pregnant. So now here I am, this Muslim, girl with Black parents who got pregnant, 2 months after high school graduation. So I had my baby. My parents supported me and everything. But 10 years ago, when I was 20, I felt like I had to play catch up, and I had to be this party promoter, and I had to do all these things because I wanted to have fun. Even though I was a single mom, it was like, you still need to live your life, right? You still, you only live once. And that whole like YOLO mindset and everything was like, I got to party every day. I got to do the most because, I missed out, kind of. So one day when I was taking him to school, his teacher, so he was like maybe, I guess, 2 or 3 at the time, and his teacher, who wasn't even Muslim, was like at a daycare. She wasn't even Muslim, and she goes, Shaakira, like, it was during the month of Ramadan, and I came in there looking not covered at all, and just really showing my body. And the teacher was like, Shaakira, like, it's Ramadan. Like, you're not going to fast. You're not going to cover. Like, it's Ramadan. That's the least you could do. Like, it's Ramadan. Like, and she wasn't Muslim, but she understood the value and the importance of Ramadan. So that reminder, and she was like, your son is watching you. You have to be try to be your best self. Because even though he's young, he's watching you. So that was like an aha moment for me. Like, I need to get myself together. So alhamdulillah, by the end of that Ramadan, I was fully covered. I was just putting on like a jacket, maybe like a shawl to a jacket to a ponytail to a bun to a hijab to, longer pants. It was just like every day just taking a step towards it. And then by the end of Ramadan, I was fully covered. I felt comfortable being covered. I was praying again. It was just like a full 360. And then from there, I just kept like trying to develop my relationship with Allah.
Okay. So, wow, that is quite the story. And wow, I like what your teacher said too about, she reminded you, and she was telling you like you should be, being your best, and it was like, it sounds like a wake up call. Does that describe it? Okay. Yeah, subhanallah. And it's amazing how that can go both ways too. Because I know for me as a teacher, that actually wakes me up. That makes me feel more of a push and accountability that, you can't just be, feeling sorry for yourself, sleeping in this and that. You got to get up, you got to be there for these kids and all of that. And, be your best for them too. I just got a message from Sister Soumaya. She's saying that her daughter is not feeling well, and she's going to be joining the conversation later. I just let her know that we've started. I think there might be some discrepancy with the times because she's actually in the UK, so it's a little bit it's quite different. Inshallah, that is major. So other people do have a huge role to play in our level up journeys for sure. The question that I think remains to be answered is just how, because one thing that really stood out about your page, both you and Sister Soumaya are very active on social media, mashallah. And not just that, but you get the sense that you're really showing up. You're not presenting, one aspect of yourself or holding back, but you're giving 100% and you're there consistently. And so I wonder, at what point did you have you always been able to present yourself and show up so fearlessly? Or at what point did you start to transition into being your whole self and showing up that way? Was it something that happened just overnight, or was it a process? Walk me through that.
Well, there's a difference between showing up like as authentically you versus showing up as, this is what I want to perceive to be. This is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So back 10 years ago, I was that. I was like, this is what I want you to see. This is what the fake version of me, that I want to, I want you to see. But for now, with me showing up like authentically me, where I kind of take those experiences, because I learned that, a lot of people can learn from them, learn from my mistakes. And then I kind of couple that with my expertise, so my experience and my expertise, on my page. So that way you see, the real me, the real challenges that I've been through, but also you see how I kind of flipped it, so that you can learn from it, because now I have not only the experience, but I have the expertise, and I have the knowledge to be able to, teach people. So for me, it was just, helping people learn and helping people better understand different things. And in order to do that, I realized I had to be, show up authentically like myself.
Mm-hmm. And that was something that came with time, it sounds like, with the school and all that.
Well, even at that time, it was, I was not the Halal Sexpert or anything near that. It was just like, for baby, for about 2 or 3 years, it was just about, I wasn't even Dr. Shaakira then. It was just like, Shaakira, I just need to get right with my Lord, and I just need to build this relationship with my Lord. And then, once I started growing as a person, and really first, making sure I developed that foundation with him first, it led to other things. But yeah, so I would just say that, that was most important for me, and that helped me. Once I could be, authentic with him, with Allah, then I was able to kind of grow from that and just build to be all these other things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so would you say that once you became this halal sexpert, and once you graduated, you got your doctorates, and you were consistent on social media, these things, like, you just were truly your whole self, like you're just done leveling up? Or could you see or say that it's possible to, 10 years from now, or, maybe even sooner, that you would find yourself even an even better version of yourself? Like, if you truly leveled up, can you do it again, is what the question is.
Can you repeat the question again? You said for everyone else or for me?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's really your opinion. And so you can base it off of your own self, your own experience. But I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people who get to a point in life where they're like, I'm set. This is where I'm at. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get worse. Like, this is just, this is me. And I think that's a beautiful way to be, to be whole and complete as you are where you're at. But then there's a level of like excitement that can come with saying, you know what? No, I can do better. Like, and so there's more to achieve. So I just wonder your take on that. Like, do you see yourself getting to a point where you're like in 10 years from now, looking back and saying like what you're saying now about yourself in high school? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see my goals changing, like transitioning. Like, I see leveling up or glowing up, looking different. 10 years from now. So I see now, I have these different goals that I want to achieve, but after I achieve them, I may be done with certain aspects, but I still want to level up on certain things. Like, you may want to, you know, level up in different ways. So whether that's like religiously, religiously, you can always be leveling up and glowing up. I mean, in so many different ways. So I think it's you can be, getting more into your fitness. It doesn't have to be school. It doesn't have to be, you want to be this, get this certificate, or you want to be this professional. Yes, one way of glowing up, but there's, so many ways. So I think as human beings, there's always something that we can improve, or something that we can, in a healthy way, be better at. So I would challenge people to not, you can be comfortable and complacent in one aspect of your life, but you can always be trying to improve yourself and better yourself, in small ways, in different things. And even if it's just pleasing your Lord better, and that's an everyday struggle, right? An everyday challenge. And I consider that growing up as well.
Definitely. I'm so glad you brought that up, sis, because we do tend to focus on like one aspect of improvement in our lives. Like there's so many different ways to be your best self and show up like that. And people might assume that you focus on the physical level up. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, like maybe you do, but from what I gather, you're also spiritually inclined as far as advising people, youth, all of that. And even in your own life, it took more than just, having the baby or like, physical level up for you to get to a point where you're at now. So, I mean, could you speak to that as far as the levels that are involved when it comes to living your best life? Like, where would you even start? For those who may be feeling like, okay, I can do better, like, how would you approach it?
For me, I would say first and foremost is, for me, it was like spiritual. Like I have to get my relationship with my Lord solidified. And of course, you're gonna always be developing that, but I needed some type of foundation. I felt like, so I was doing that, in addition to loving myself and learning how to love myself as this covered person, loving myself as this Muslim person, how I can still have some other friends, but I have to draw boundaries and be like, okay, well, yeah, I love these girls, or I love these people, but there's certain things that I can't do with them. Like, and I remember I listened to this khutbah, I went to like my hometown imams or whatever, and he was saying like, you can't have one foot in the deen and one foot in the dunya, because I was leading like this double life. So it's like I have to pick one of these lives, and I can't be both of them. And I was like, I really want to go to heaven, and I really want, to please my Lord. So I'm just gonna let this other life go and focus on this life. Focus on like be my spirit best self, and pleasing my Lord. After that, it was like, okay, professionally, at the time, I wanted to be this nurse. So I was like, I gotta buckle down, be this nurse, and ask the Lord to help me. And then, with your family, having a better relationship with my parents, with my siblings, with my, aunts, uncles, and everyone else, developing that. I think physically, I was okay at that time because I was only 20. But I guess as I grew up, especially, preparing for marriage and other things, and it's so funny. After I stopped partying and stuff, I gained a lot of weight. So I guess I don't know what that was about. But so once I got kind of settled in the other areas, I worked on like my fitness level and like my health, like health and wellness, and I guess, and then professionally, I still wanted to grow as I started to have different passions and different love for different things. I challenged myself to, do more and achieve more and become this doctor of nursing practice, and then this sexuality educator, and now going for this PhD in sexuality just to, help my community. So I had to get me settled first before I could branch out and like grow up to be like, okay, I need to do something for my community, because you can't, Allah says you can't change the condition of the people until you change yourself. So I really had to focus on getting myself right first, and then I started to work, to really work towards becoming, helping other people, helping the community.
Wow. And that's a really crucial piece too, because I mean, if you would have done it the other way around, it's like pouring from an empty cup. And that's something that I think when we're young, maybe even just like the past generation I grew up with, it wasn't so much a focus on self-care as there is now. So that's key, and it is tied with Islam and the way of this of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But before we wrap up, there was one key piece that I wanted to bring up, and I don't want to end on like a dark note, but I'm sure you'll be able to shed light to it. It's this word, it's this comment that was made by a scholar that I respect deeply. And she is so powerful in the way she presents her information and her knowledge. And so she was saying how you cannot be a black American and not have trauma. Like, you come into marriage, you come into these partnerships that you are going to ultimately be bringing some type of trauma with all the police brutality and the shootings and just generational mentalities that may hold us back. Um, there's the generational blessings too, but ultimately that was her point, is that we come with trauma. And so when you talk about the level up, and this is a long question, I know, bear with me, I'll be asking those long questions. But basically, when it comes to level up, it's like fall. You have to shed some leaves. You have to let some things go, and it teaches us that in order to get to the next season, to the new level. And so I wonder what baggage, and I don't know if you agree with the whole idea of like us, having trauma as Black Americans regardless, but like, what did you have to shed in order to get to the levels that you've been able to achieve? Alhamdulillah.
Um, so yeah, I absolutely agree with that. For me, so I guess as I was building that relationship with my Lord, it was also about, I guess, letting go pain of being hurt by, my son's father, who, I mean, we both were very young, but it was just like, okay, well, you're not even trying. You don't care about me. You don't care about the baby. And it was just like really hurtful. So getting through that, getting past that, learning to love myself, was also a challenge because, my value to me was based off of what other people thought of me. Like, I had to be this, I had to be this ideal party person in order to feel valued and in order to feel loved. And I needed other people to validate me in order to, to do that. So I had to really kind of let it go. Like, I was a period of time where I let go of social media completely just so I can focus on providing myself with that validation instead of seeking it from others. So letting go of that, to me, that was trauma.
How long did you let it go for?
Say it again.
Social media. You said social media. I mean, I can't imagine you not on social media. How
it was
long?
A long time. I think the only, and it's so like, I guess, counterproductive. But when I was when I, again, a long time it was just me by myself. But then when I think some brothers were trying, well, like, I guess I was sought out by, for attending process. So brothers were seeking to marry me. And it was this one time when I was having like sit downs with this brother, and I think that's when Instagram, like, first, that's dating myself, first kind of came out. And they were like, oh, Instagram is so cool, you should get an Instagram. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to, but okay. So I did, but I was already off of it for, I want to say, 2 or 3 years. So once I got back on Instagram, I thought it was cool for a little while, but then some of the same things started happening, so I got off of it again.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, what I really love about the way you respond and present your story is that you don't romanticize. And I mean, it probably took time to get to that point. Not even romanticize, but it's very plain vanilla, very to the point. And that's so key for people, I think, listening in that are interested in concepts like, soulmates and stuff like that, and twin flames. Like, okay, sure, they exist, but at the end of the day, it can become a codependence if you're not able to stand on your own 2 feet, you're not able to stand your own ground, you're not whole on your own. all of that good stuff. So, yeah, mashallah, I encourage people to look at your work and our sister Soumaya's work alike because, again, even though you guys are on two different paths, you guys both speak to that. You're both very much into being happy as a woman, as a spiritual woman, a believer, Muslim. So that's key before you start, jumping in or out of any kind of relationship, that you need to have that solid. And so may Allah give that to anyone who, crosses you guys' paths and who comes about your work, inshallah. Like I said, the sister, she's saying her daughter is not feeling well, so it looks like she's going to, we're going to have our own separate conversation. But I'm so glad that I could touch bases with you again, Dr. Shaakira. And did you have any closing thoughts or words that you maybe wanted to add on?
I would just say, don't give up. Continue to patiently persevere, and what that means is that you're going to ask Allah to help guide you through this process, but you're also going to take steps as you're praying for it. So you're persevering and you're patiently doing it because you're waiting for Allah to bless you with something great, but you're also actually applying and taking steps and getting to be your best self, and you identifying what that looks like for you and working towards that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, there's not much else to say. Thank you again for your time, and inshallah, you can enjoy the rest of your weekend.